Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky says Russia has begun what he's called the battle for the Donbas. Russian troops have spent days regrouping and now appear to be engaging in a full-scale ground offensive along a 500-kilometre front in Ukraine's east and south. After suffering setbacks around Kyiv, the Kremlin declared its main goal to be the capture of the Donbas region in the east of Ukraine.
Shots fired on the front line. Ukraine says these are some of the opening salvos of Russia's offensive from the east. In footage released by the Ukrainian Defense Ministry, troops say they are ready to defend the Donbas. Let them come, this soldier says. They will stay here forever. There is enough land to bury them all. Ukraine's president said this was the start of a new phase in the war.
We can now state that Russian troops have begun the battle for the Donbas, for which they have been preparing for a long time. A significant part of the entire Russian army is now concentrated on this offensive. No matter how many Russian troops are driven there, we will fight. We will defend ourselves, and we will do it every day. We won't give up anything Ukrainian.
Thousands of residents are now trapped in towns under constant shelling. This woman lives in the remains of a village near the front line. She describes living in a new no-man's land.
We don't even know where the shelling comes from. We wait for it from there, thinking that the Ukrainian army will protect us, but then it comes from there. There's shelling from all directions.
With Russian forces in control of much of the east and south, one pocket of resistance remains, the Azovstal steel plant in Mariupol. Ukrainian fighters holding up here say Russia has dropped bunker-busting bombs on the complex. But here, as elsewhere, Ukrainians are refusing to cede any of their territory without a fight.
Well, our correspondent Matthias Bullinger is in the Ukrainian capital, Kyiv. I asked him what he was hearing about this latest Russian assault.
Yeah, the Ukrainian authorities have established that this was the beginning of the assault. It's mainly coming from the north, from the town of Izium. That's one town that's in between Donbas and Kharkiv. And it looks like the aim would be to move south from there and then cut off the forces that are east of that. We don't know, of course, what is going to happen and how well the Ukrainian army is prepared. But what we do know is that they have expected this for a long time and that they have tried to prepare as well as possible for quite a few weeks now. And all this discussion about heavy weaponry that we've been hearing, the delivery of new weapons, all this was meant to fight back an assault on Donbas from the Russian side.
Right. And what of Mariupol? We've been following events there for weeks, and the Pentagon says it has seen a concentration of airstrikes and artillery there.
Yeah, we know that the last parts of the Ukrainian army that are still in the city are in this steelworks, this gigantic steelworks that was a symbol of the city, and they are staying there. There's a huge bunker underneath, a system of tunnels, and civilians are also hiding there. What we've been hearing, but it's unconfirmed, is that many of these civilians are the relatives of these soldiers because they are afraid that they might be a target for the Russian army as well. It seems that the army is still there in this very small part of town, and it's heavily bombed. We've seen pictures, but for the moment it's as it has been, a war of attrition, a very cruel war of attrition in Mariupol.
Right. And how likely is it that Ukrainian forces will be able to defend Mariupol and keep the Russians out?
Well, the only way to do that would be another offensive coming from another side and thus opening a corridor, breaking the blockade of the city. We haven't seen any offensive in that direction. We haven't seen any preparations for that. So it seems that the Ukrainian army is not able to do that at the moment.
And civilians, of course, caught up in all this. How are they dealing with this increase in hostilities?
The Ukrainian authorities have called upon civilians to leave these areas in Donbas that are likely to be the theater of the next escalation. We have also seen that there were trains to bring out people. We don't know how many civilians are left there, but from what we've seen in the war before, what we've seen in Mariupol and north of Kyiv, is that this is a war that spares no one, and that it can be extremely cruel on civilians as well. So most people would probably be well advised to follow this advice by the government.
Okay, thank you for that, Matthias Bullinger in Kyiv.